Curtis, thanks for joining us. It's a new role for you today, coming down to speak to Paul Warne. You're doing that this afternoon. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, it will be. It's interesting being back here. I haven't been able to actually come back to the training ground, so got to see first of all Phil and Sue in the kitchen and Evie and give them all a hug. So that was nice. But yeah, good to be here and good to be able to do it in a different capacity by interviewing the gaffer. So the gaffer's hopefully going to get me off to a good start in my new career. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to doing it and looking forward to watching the game on Friday as well.
Stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit doing this?
You know me, I'm quite comfortable with you guys and the media, so I'm not quite a shrinking violet by any means, but it's nice to get started with somebody you know, somebody you've got a personal relationship with, and somebody that likes to talk as much as me, so it makes it a little bit easier, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I suppose it's a match made in heaven, really. Two very talkative individuals having a chat. Are you expecting it to go on for quite a while?
Yeah, and I don't envy the person that has to edit it, because if you're trying to edit down our hour and a half of I guess gibberish, probably a lot of it, even though I'd like to call myself professional, it's interesting to try and get that down to a 3-4 minute section, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be a good piece, and it'll be a personal piece, because you know my relationship with the manager, I've always kept in touch with him. I actually did the League One playoff final with him recently, so he's a really good guy, and I'm really hopeful for use this season.
What was the feeling like when you drove in the training ground then?
It's the fact I had to announce that I was coming in. That was weird. Somebody at the gate, so the security at the gate, it wasn't the usual security that I knew before, and they said, "Oh, like, what are you here for?" I was like, "Oh, I'm here to see Tom Lokes in the media." It's like, "Oh, I'm doing an interview today." It's like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And they let me in. I was thinking, do you not know who I am? No, all jokes aside, it's obviously surreal that side. Usually I just click myself in and go in, and there's not an issue, but yeah, it's totally different, and yeah, it's part of the new life, I guess.
So you hung up your boots last week. You announced that on social media. How do you look back on what's been an incredibly successful career, and has it really sunk in for you yet that that's it, it's all done?
It has, I think, over the last couple of weeks when you're at home, and it's the institutionalised side of it, where you've been in this since you're 16, so 23 years, doing it longer than I haven't, and you get told to be here, be there, be on this time, blah blah blah. And I was all right with the summer because, you know, I had internationals, I had my holidays, and then when people started to go back to pre-season, I was still all right, because I was glad I wasn't doing the tough running at the start of pre-season. And then it gets to that period where it's that grey area where there's not many games. There's a few pre-season games, but there's no fixture schedule for the new season as such. And you've got that couple of 3 weeks where you're just kind of floating and doing nothing. And that is when you realise that I'm retired. So you take it in. It's a little bit difficult, if I'm being totally honest. But I'm delighted to get out now. Now the games are about to start, and come to places like this, and obviously watch the games. And I'm excited by it. And that's the thing. I think it's quite daunting for any player to have to retire after doing it for so long. You'll never get the same buzz as being on a football pitch, win, lose or draw. But to be able to step into a new career and be ready for that, and try and hit the ground running with that is something that encourages me, and ultimately, being a competitor, I want to be the best that I can be at the next field that I go into.
How long have you known that this summer was going to be the time for you? Were you playing last year knowing this is going to be the last year? So I know when you signed for Cheltenham, you were deciding whether you were going to carry on or not. So was this playing out the last year? Was it knowing that you were going to hang up your boots this summer?
Honest answer, right at the start of the season, no, because I thought if I do have another good year, would I go again? So even though I was contemplating it, I thought possibly if I have a good season, I might go again. But if I'm being totally honest, I think around October is when it started to hit home. The pressure of obviously being at Cheltenham. I signed for a friend of mine in Wade Elliott. He got the sack. We left 32 points on the table in the first 11 games, so it wasn't good. But I wasn't a quitter, so I wasn't going to retire midway through the season or anything like that, and I stayed and obviously did my bit. Here's Lochi, good man.
Sad moment for football. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I like this mid-interview, it keeps it authentic as well, doesn't it? But yeah, I didn't want to be a quitter and walk away then. So I saw out the season and did my very best. But I think once I got to December, I started having a serious conversation with my wife and my agent and stuff like that. And then I think once the Sky deal, to be honest, the 1,000 games was announced, I think that solidified it for me. I started to have more conversations and tried to see if there was an option for me to do that. Unfortunately, there is. So there was no daunted side where I had to worry about what I was going to do. I was quite happy to retire, knowing that I'm going straight from football into something else that, as I said already, I want to try and be the best at, and it gives you more of a 3 to 5 to 10 year plan. Whereas I could have got pats on the back for playing until I'm 40, but again, you're going year to year and you might end up at the back of the queue.
You played international football before you retired as well, so what's that been like for you? Is that a big ambition of yours to represent your country before you finished?
It was. Obviously, as a youngster, I always wanted to play for England. I managed to play for England on 21s, was fortunate enough to be in a lot of 30-man squads with Fabio Capello, and then was on the bench against Germany, never got capped. So when the option to play for Sierra Leone came up at 38 years old, it was bizarre. I must say, I just wasn't expecting it. You know, when I got the messages, I thought it was more to do with could I help out, be it coaching or be it scouting. I don't really know what they wanted from me, but it was an amazing experience. I think the same amount of pride that I've been able to show, the way I felt being out there, the way that I was taken into the squad, it wasn't like being an outsider. I was welcomed with open arms, and it was amazing. It's a shame that it was only for a short stint, you know, because of obviously one, my age, and two, a few difficulties with registration. I only got to get the 3 caps, two official caps, 1 unofficial. But for me personally, that was amazing, especially to have scored in one of the games. That was amazing, and now I feel part of that. Yeah. So it's kind of, I'll constantly have my eyes on it. I'll always be supporting them, and I've said to them all along, if there's anything I can do to help from my end along the way, then I'm always happy to help.
Bring it back to Derby then, promotion from League One last year, you know how much it meant to everybody from what everyone went through over the previous years. From an outsider looking in, how pleased were you to see the club get that success and get back up to the Championship? Yeah,
it was obviously, it's hard to disguise the fact that I've obviously got still fond feelings for the club. So having been at Cheltenham and kind of obviously been keeping an eye on the league anyway, there was always that one eye on Derby, always. We tried our hardest coming here to upset the apple cart, but we weren't able to do so. But yeah, listen, I'm just delighted for the club, delighted for the fans. You know, as much as everyone in the club obviously means a lot to me, the fans and what they've been through over the last few years, everything that's happened with this football club, to be back in the Championship is the first step, and I'm glad they've managed that. I think obviously the next step for the club is stay there, and then start to hopefully build again. Rome wasn't built in a day, so I think we have to be realistic as to what to expect from the club. But I think the foundations are there with David in charge and with the manager. I think the foundations are there to have a real good chance.
You were at Pride Park at the weekend against Real Valladolid, although you might pronounce it differently to me. You've rehearsed it more. What did you make of that?
I thought it was an interesting game. I think going up against the Spanish side that notoriously will use a lot of the ball and be a bit slower in build up and stuff like that, it was an interesting task. I think once the side Derby got a little bit more aggressive in the second half and got in their faces and didn't show them the respect, I think Real Valladolid, sorry, it's easy to say, they came unstuck and obviously got the goals from a couple of breakdowns. So yeah, I think they did well. They got the result as such, but I think all in all, I think the Friday game against Blackburn would be totally different. So I think if anything, the Barnsley game would have been more of a marker for the intensity of the game, the way the game's going to go, because I think every team starts a little bit cagey the first 15-20 minutes. And then once that first thing happens to cause the game to erupt, it could be a bit of an end-to-end type thing, especially first game of the season. So I'm expecting a lot of energy, a lot of fireworks on Friday, and I'm expecting a good game of football.
And just lastly then, on the Championship generally, Derby have been out of it for 2 years. How much do you feel that the division has changed, or is it not at all really? What sort of division are Derby coming into now?
I think if you look at last year's division, you see the teams that were relegated, and I guess that money difference in terms of from the top level to the bottom, it has been a big gulf. Listen, Ipswich upset everyone. I think as a player that played against Ipswich the year before, I believed that they could do something, and that in my eyes was pushed towards the playoffs. To see them get automatic promotion was unbelievable, so none of us saw that coming. But if you look at the teams around it, you're talking about the Leeds, the Southamptons, the Leicesters, and then even then after that it's still the West Broms that have been up in the Premier League previously and stuff like that. So it's a shame to see that it kind of is the way that the ones that are coming down are going back up, but somebody or one team's going to have to be that Ipswich and upset it. And I think there's always, in the Championship, it's the most exciting league in the world. The top team could beat the bottom team could beat the top team, and nobody blinks an eyelid. So I think it's an exciting league, and I'm looking forward to working on it all this season.